Tonight, something changed near Iran that military planners across the Middle East are watching very carefully. New American weapons systems, additional naval assets, and expanded strike capabilities are reportedly moving into positions close enough to influence the balance of power in the Gulf. Washington says these moves are about deterrence and regional stability. Tehran sees something very different. Because when the United States sends new military hardware near Iranian waters, history shows it is never just for show. It is a signal, a warning, and sometimes preparation for what comes next. The question tonight is not only what has arrived. The real question is why now? Why is the Pentagon increasing pressure at this specific moment? Why are new capabilities being placed within operational range of one of America's most heavily watched rivals? And why is Iran already responding with warnings, military alerts, and renewed rhetoric about sovereignty and retaliation? Those answers could shape the next phase of tension in the Middle East. For months, the Gulf region has remained tense. Shipping lanes have faced threats, oil markets have reacted to uncertainty, and military forces from multiple nations have remained on high alert. U.S. officials have repeatedly stated that freedom of navigation and protection of allies remain top priorities. But behind official statements, the scale of military movement tells a deeper story. Reports in recent months described aircraft carriers, destroyers, advanced fighters, surveillance aircraft, and missile defense systems repositioned closer to Iran. What makes this moment different is the possibility that some of these systems are not routine rotations. Analysts have pointed to newer strike platforms, advanced drones, electronic warfare tools, and long-range precision missiles that were either recently tested or newly deployed. Earlier reporting also suggested that recent conflicts became proving grounds for emerging U.S. systems, including next-generation missiles and low-cost strike drones. If true, this means the United States may not simply be adding numbers near Iran. It may be adding new types of pressure. In modern warfare, that distinction matters enormously. More ships can be counted. More aircraft can be tracked. But new capabilities change calculations in ways numbers alone cannot. They force commanders to reconsider defenses, radar coverage, response times, and assumptions built over years. Iran understands this better than most. Tehran has spent decades preparing for conventional American power by building asymmetric tools, coastal missiles, drones, naval swarms, tunnels, cyber networks, and proxy alliances across the region. Iran knows it cannot outmatch the United States ship for ship or jet for jet. Instead, it built a strategy designed to make any U.S. operation costly, uncertain, and politically dangerous. That strategy depends on predictability. If Iran knows roughly what America will deploy, it can plan counters. If new systems suddenly appear, that advantage narrows. A stealthier missile, faster launcher, stronger jamming capability, or autonomous drone network could disrupt years of preparation. That is why even rumors of classified or newly fielded weapons near Iran attract intense attention. One of the most important tools in this equation is naval power. An American carrier strike group is more than a warship formation. It is a floating military ecosystem with aircraft, intelligence assets, escorts, missile defenses, and command infrastructure. Carriers allow Washington to project force without relying entirely on regional bases. They also provide flexibility. Aircraft can launch patrols, show presence, defend allies, or conduct strikes depending on orders. Alongside carriers come destroyers equipped with advanced radar and missile systems. These ships can defend against aircraft, intercept ballistic threats, and in some cases launch land attack cruise missiles. Their presence changes the risk map for any coastal military force watching from shore. A destroyer over the horizon may still hold targets hundreds of miles inland at risk. Then there is air power. Reports of increased U.S. aircraft presence in the region previously included stealth fighters, tankers, surveillance aircraft, and airborne warning systems. These assets do not just add firepower. They add endurance, awareness, and command control. An F-35 is dangerous not only because it can strike, but because it can collect data, share targeting information, and operate in contested environments. For Iran, this creates a layered challenge. Coastal defenses may track ships. Air defenses may watch the sky. But networked modern forces combine domains. A drone can locate a target. A jet can pass coordinates. A missile can strike from another platform entirely. This is why modern military build-ups are harder to interpret than older ones. The visible hardware is only part of the story. Tehran's likely response follows a familiar pattern. Publicly, Iranian officials warn against aggression and insist any attack would meet decisive retaliation. Militarily, readiness levels may rise. Missile batteries may disperse. Naval patrols may increase. Proxy groups in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, or elsewhere may receive quiet instructions to prepare. Even if no shots are fired, the battle space can begin activating silently. The Strait of Hormuz remains central to all of this. A narrow maritime corridor carrying a major share of global energy flows, it gives Iran geographic leverage and gives the world a reason to watch every movement nearby. Any escalation there can send oil prices upward within hours and trigger broader economic consequences. That means a military move in the Gulf is never just military. It is financial, political, and global. From Washington's perspective, deploying stronger capabilities near Iran can serve several purposes at once. First, deterrence. If Iran believes the cost of aggression is too high, it may avoid direct confrontation. Second, reassurance. Gulf allies often seek visible American commitment during tense periods. Third, contingency planning. If diplomacy fails or a crisis erupts suddenly, forces already in place respond faster than forces still crossing oceans. But deterrence can be misread. Tehran may interpret the same deployment as coercion or preparation for attack. That perception can cause countermeasures, which Washington then interprets as escalation. This is how cycles of suspicion build. Neither side may want war, yet each side's defensive steps appear offensive to the other. History in the Gulf is full of such moments. Tanker incidents, drone shoot-downs, seizures of vessels, close naval encounters, missile exchanges through proxies, and sanctions crises have repeatedly shown how quickly tension can rise. The danger is not only deliberate war. It is accidental escalation caused by crowded waters, rapid decisions, and imperfect information. There is also a political clock. In the United States, administrations often need to appear strong when challenged abroad. In Iran, leaders cannot look passive under visible foreign pressure without risking internal criticism. This means both governments sometimes respond not only to each other, but to domestic audiences. Public messaging becomes part of military strategy. So what happens next? There are several realistic scenarios. The first is controlled signaling. New U.S. systems arrive, Iran protests, both sides posture, and nothing dramatic happens. This is common and often intentional. The second is sustained shadow conflict, cyber attacks, interceptions, proxy pressure, and economic warfare without open battle. The third is miscalculation, a drone downed, a ship damaged, a strike answered too quickly. The third scenario worries planners most because once casualties occur, politics accelerates everything. Retaliation pressure rises immediately. Media narratives harden. Diplomacy becomes harder. What began as deterrence can become escalation in a matter of hours. Markets are already sensitive to this possibility. Even hints of disruption in Hormuz can affect energy prices, shipping insurance, and investor confidence. That means Iran's leverage is not only military capability but uncertainty itself. Washington knows this, which is why protecting sea lanes remains such a priority. There is another layer few people discuss openly: intelligence warfare. Whenever advanced systems move into a region, rival states try to study them. Radar signatures, communication patterns, patrol routines, electronic emissions, and operational timing all become valuable data. In that sense, deployments are not only about what weapons can do now, but what adversaries learn from them for later. That may explain why some systems are shown publicly while others remain quiet. A visible carrier sends one message. A less visible electronic warfare platform sends another. A publicly announced deployment reassures allies. A quietly inserted capability creates uncertainty for rivals. Modern power uses both spectacle and secrecy. Iran, meanwhile, has adapted under pressure for years. Sanctions, sabotage claims, cyber operations, and regional confrontations have pushed Tehran toward resilient strategies, redundancy, underground facilities, decentralization, and domestic production of drones and missiles. This means even superior force does not guarantee quick outcomes. The US can project enormous power, but Iran can absorb pressure in ways many countries cannot. That is why the phrase "what happens next" matters so much tonight. It may be nothing dramatic. It may be quiet deterrence working exactly as intended. Or it may be the early positioning stage of a broader contest involving sanctions, maritime pressure, cyber moves, and regional proxy calculations. Sometimes the loudest moment in a crisis comes weeks after the first deployment. Allies across the region are watching carefully. Gulf states want security but fear becoming battlegrounds. Israel watches any shift in US-Iran posture closely. Europe watches energy markets. Asian economies watch shipping lanes. What happens near Iran rarely stays near Iran. And so the story tonight is larger than secret weapons or dramatic headlines. It is about leverage, perception, and whether rivals can show strength without crossing the line into conflict. America wants deterrence. Iran wants sovereignty and strategic space. Both want to avoid appearing weak. That combination creates risk. If new US weapons truly have arrived near Iran, they were not sent randomly. Every deployment has a purpose, even when officials use careful language. The world may not know every detail tonight. But commanders in Washington and Tehran are already calculating the same question everyone else is asking. What happens next?